right, can you hear me, guys? There's nobody on, so no one's available to respond. But I see my mic going, so let's get this started. Let me see if my cam's working. Properties. Actually, I gotta reset it. Yeah, there it is. It's a little small. Let's make that bigger. There we go. What is up? Welcome back to Cultivate Your Best Self. Let's get the new background on. There it is. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about mindset. Mindset's a big topic. It's a big one. So today, mindset's something that's kind of been growing in importance over the last, I'd say, about 20 years or so. It started becoming more and more prevalent in like the productivity space back in like early 2000s, and then ever since then there's been a bunch of books and articles and research done on how important mindset is for anything you want to achieve in life. So I'm really looking forward to going over mindset today. Shoot, my son. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure he's okay. He's with mom right now. So yeah, welcome back to Cultivate Your Best Self. We're all about cultivating a deeper knowledge of yourself, who you aspire to become, and how and why you value time and money. So like I said, we're talking about mindset today. So let's get right into it. I'm going to bring up my notes on chapter 4 from Eric Potterat and Alan Eagle's book, Learn to Excellence. And chapter 4 is all about mindset. So let me change my camera settings to be, yeah, there we go. And then I probably need to get that there. Probably good. Maybe I should put it like more towards the middle. Is that better? Or right above mindset? I don't know. Maybe middle. So first off, quote of the chapter: having the right mindset is the foundation upon which all other aspects of learned excellence are built. That's probably one of the most important quotes in the book, because here the author is telling you that mindset is the foundation upon which everything else he talks about is built. Now that's critical, because in order to find the success you're looking for, you need to be able to tap into the correct mindset, or the right mindset that will allow you to achieve what it is you're trying to accomplish, right? So first off, what is mindset? Now there's a bunch of definitions that I found that were like pretty complex, and I wanted to try and simplify it down to something easy to understand. Oh, I have the first comment. It says, Suzanne, hi, I hear you. Awesome. I'm glad you can hear me. Yeah, I have a little indicator on my screen that shows that my mic is picking up my sound, but you never know if the audience might not be able to hear. Ooh, there's my son again. I don't know why he's screaming. But yeah, it's helpful that you tell me that you can hear me. That's great. Welcome to the channel. So what is mindset? So it's, in the simplest terms, it's how you set your mind to respond to certain situations. And what I mean by how you set your mind, it's your attitude and your behavior. It's all of that: your attitude, your thoughts, and your behaviors, and how you set that in anticipation of certain situations that you're going to be exposed to. And the top performers that are referenced in this book, like, they all have kind of like a routine that they go into that gets them into this certain mindset that allows them to prepare for what they're about to perform, what they're about to do. A lot of the examples that he gives are people in the military, or athletes. Like, they have this routine that they go through and it's really helpful for them to get their mind set so that they can handle anything that comes their way. They're prepared for the performance they're about to give. And this can apply to any situations. This can apply to like an interview. It can apply to test taking. For me, like setting that song and that initial video is kind of like helping me get into the mindset of doing this live stream. And I think I'm gonna kind of use that to take a few deep breaths while that video's playing, showing cultivate your best self starting soon. And then it shows with Josh. Like when that's playing, I'm kind of here, kind of taking deep breaths, looking at my notes, and getting ready to talk to you guys about what it is I have to share today. So yeah, so getting that routine and getting into that mindset so that you can respond and be prepared for the situations that you're about to get yourself into. So all psychologists will tell you that they agree on one point. Oops. I'm trying to get my mouse out of the way. There you go. So all psychologists will tell you that they agree on one point, and it's that mindset is powerful. What the mind believes directly affects the body. And I have here the lemon example, and I forget where I heard this. I want to say it was from a podcast that I heard, but let me talk you through this lemon example. I want you to close your eyes for me. Go ahead and do that now. I'm gonna do it with you, and try to picture yourself going to the market or going to the grocery store. And while you're walking in, you're kind of directing yourself toward the produce section where they have all the fruits, the vegetables, all the fresh stuff. And you're walking over to where you see a stand that has all the citruses, the oranges, the limes, the lemons. And you notice, with your eyes still closed, you notice next to the lemons there's this table. And at that table there's a cutting knife and a sign that says, go ahead and slice up a lemon. So you pick up a lemon, you set it down on that little table that's next to the lemons, grab the knife, and you start to slice through it. And as you slice through it, the little mist comes out of the lemon, and you start to smell it, right? You're smelling the lemon, that little mist comes out, it's very pungent. You pick up the lemon, and then you cut that half that you just cut into another half, so you have a little wedge. You have a lemon wedge. Now picture this in your mind for me, with your eyes still closed. You pick up that lemon, and you go to bite deep into that lemon. Bite deep into that lemon, and taste the citrusy, the sourness, that pungent taste. You taste it? Can you taste that? Now, if your mouth is starting to salivate as you're thinking about this, that's your mind, that's your body actually having a physical reaction to your mind, kind of picturing something for you. Now, my mouth right now is kind of watering, as I was painting that picture, but it just goes to show you how powerful the mind is to get your body to have a physical reaction to something that you're thinking about. And that's really important because it applies to everything in your life that you think about. If you think in negative terms, your body is going to have a negative reaction. You're going to be prone towards feeling the negative effects of whatever it is you're thinking about, which is why it's so important to set your mindset to things that are more positive and things that will help you get through certain situations. Now, that's the lemon example. That's called the placebo effect. It's when a positive outcome that results from the belief that a beneficial treatment has been received, whether or not it actually has. Now, it's important to understand that mindset is a choice. It's your choice how you think about things, how you think about the world, how you think about an interaction that you had with a coworker, or a fight that you had with a significant other. You're the way that you set your mind is up to you. You can choose to dwell on the negative, or you can choose to dwell on the more positive aspects. And one of the things that I just recently heard about from Simon Sinek was that when in a professional environment, in an organization, when managers tend to focus on people that they're managing, when they focus on the negative things, the things that the people are doing wrong, the negative aspects, it tends to create more conflict, it creates more problems, and then the person that is being criticized all the time ends up, performing more mistakes in the long run. But when the opposite is true, when the managers try to catch the people that they're managing doing things correctly, doing things right, doing things well, then the opposite ends up happening. They end up performing better. They end up moving ahead. They end up just overall performing at a level that's much higher than they would if their managers were being negative all the time. And we see that all the time in professional environments where, and I've been guilty of this too, where we tend to pick up on some of the more the more like the smaller mistakes that people are making. You want to try and get in there and correct it as soon as you can. But if you're doing that all the time, it's very discouraging for the people that that you're managing. So what I'm trying to say is just focus more on the positive outcomes, the positive aspects, the things that are going right in your life, and start shifting your mind towards that. And I promise you, if you start doing that, things will start to change over time, and you'll start to be more grateful, have more gratitude for the things that are going right in your life. So, with this idea that mindset is a choice, you have to make, excuse me, you have to make a conscious decision to change your mindset if it's not serving you the way that you want right now. So, choose your mindset. Sorry. Choose your mindset, practice and improve it, and learn how to adjust it based on your different roles. And we'll talk about what I mean by different roles, because the mindset that I have with Cultivate Your Best Self and doing these live streams is completely different from the mindset of being a father, or being an employee, or being a husband, or being a son. And I don't consciously have to kind of shift my mindset, like it's kind of natural now. But one of the things that I had to do when I was in an environment not that long ago, I was in an environment where it was very toxic, and I would sometimes bring that home, and I would notice that I would be a little bit more impatient with, say, like my dog, Luna. I would be more impatient with her. I would be a little bit more like snappy with my wife when I first get home. And so I had to understand that the things that were affecting me at work that were kind of toxic had nothing to do with the way that my wife is here at home, or the way that my dog is just a dog. But so one of the things that I did was, on the drive home, I would take several deep breaths, understand that the what happened to me during the day doesn't have to carry on at home. I can separate that, and find healthier ways to kind of get rid of that stress. And the way that I do that is by going to the gym. And the gym really helps me, like, release a lot of that kind of pent up stress that I have from the toxicity that I was experiencing at work. And so that drive home, it was only like I lived close to my work home distance was like 5-10 minutes. And so within that 5-10 minutes, like, I would kind of get myself into the mindset of, like, okay, I'm coming home to my wife, my dog, I'm going to play with my dog for a little bit, and then kind of wind down and spend some time with my wife, and then kind of get to work on some of the things that I was working on for Cultivate Your Best Self. And so that's kind of what I mean by, like, you kind of have to choose and have a routine that gets you into the mode of switching that mindset for that different role that I was playing. A great example a really great example from the book was, to be a successful blank, and you fill in the blank, I need to be more blank. And example answers are like, to be a successful parent, I need to be more present or patient. In order to be a successful content creator, I need to be more consistent. And so, so, write this down in your notebook, and find things that, you want to be better at. I want to be a more successful, significant other. I want to be a more successful paw parent. I want to be a successful YouTuber, or, whatever it is. My dog. Um, what is this? I can't rely on myself to edit well, but okay. So yeah, one of the things that I wrote here was that this is related to the me being a successful content creator, and I need to be more consistent. I can't rely on myself to edit well, but I can rely on myself to talk for an hour about topics that I'm passionate about. And that's why I kind of switched over to doing these live streams, because I don't always have the time to edit the videos that I upload to the channel, and sometimes they take quite a bit of time. And right now I can't afford to hire an editor. It'd be great if someone offered to be an editor for a little while, until I got the the viewers going and I got the channel monetized. But right now I can't do that. And so one of the things that I wanted to do to try and be more consistent is to set a schedule for the channel where I could show up. I can just show up and be here for an hour for you guys. And sure, like, in the beginning, I understand that no one's really gonna be here or show up, but that doesn't matter. Like, what matters is me, wanting to be a more successful content creator. I want to be, someone who provides solutions for people that are having issues with all the things that I have knowledge on now, from reading all the books that I've read, the articles that I've saved in this what I call my second brain system that you see up on the screen right now, where I've taken these notes. I built a second brain system in Notion to help me retain a lot of the information, to be able to retrieve a lot of the information that I'm learning. And I want to share this with all you guys, because now more than ever, like I've mentioned this before in previous streams, like, people are bombarded by a ton of information, and we're not equipped to handle it. And it's distracting us from living the best life that we can possibly live. Especially, and I've mentioned it before, especially social media. Social media is increasing the amount of anxiety, depression, stress that people feel. It's, consuming so much of people's time that we forget to live in the process. We forget to live and do things that benefit, our own mental and physical health. And that's what I'm trying to get at with Cultivate Your Best Self. We need to work on ourselves in order to be the best version we can, the best version of us that we can be for our significant others, for our children, for, the future, for our own futures, like, you are your greatest asset. So treat yourself as such. And yeah, so that's what I'm trying to do here, you guys. That's what I'm trying to say. Some traits of great performers and high achievers that the author mentions is, some of them are on a mission. They're always on a mission to accomplish something, to achieve something. They're humble. They look for opportunities to grow and learn. And you guys, you're gonna get to know me over time, but I am always looking for opportunities to grow and learn. I'm always reading a book, and yeah, it's just it helps feed me knowledge that I didn't have prior. And there's so much to learn in life, and this is something that you could do your entire life. I'm all about being a lifelong learner, being a student of life, for the rest of my life. Because there's never a time where you can't learn something, especially from like other people, from experiences that you have from watching this live stream. So being persistent is another trait. Persistence is really difficult. Persistence, consistency, these things that some of the most successful people in the world are really great at. And I myself, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't. It was really tough for me to output content on YouTube because I'd spend so much time editing. But these live streams are much easier to do because I can just talk about things. And I hope that over time my ability to speak to you guys will improve with getting practice in, because I know that when I first started, like if you look at my very first video, I was so nervous and I was adding so many ums and ahs, and I probably do a little bit of that now still, but I I've taken a communications course, or I'm still in the process of taking one. So, I'm always trying to improve. And I think as I grow in my storytelling ability and my ability to just use my voice, using your voice is an incredibly powerful tool in your tool belt. It's a skill that you can develop, and the more that you develop it, the more opportunities that come your way. And so that's really important for me to continue to develop, because I'm going to be, I'm sure in the future as I get more successful, I'm probably going to be doing presentations and speaking to crowds of people, or at least groups of people, that that I'm trying to help. And it's going to be paramount for me to be able to speak confidently and clearly and without distracting from my message. So, yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there. And then the last thing that I have here is driven by potential. Like just seeing potential in everything. Potential in your abilities, potential in your growth, potential in your success, potential in your relationships, in your career, whatever it is, just seeing the potential that's there and trying to go for it. Making a plan to go for it. Yeah, what is a growth mindset? The Carol Dweck definition. So I went back on YouTube and I saved some videos for myself because Carol Dweck, she does some presentations on YouTube that I'm going to check out, and she was one of the early kind of authors on and like voices on mindset. And so what she says is, this is I love this. It says individuals who believe their talents can be developed through hard work, good strategies, and input from others. They have a growth mindset. And those who believe their talents are innate gifts possess a more fixed mindset. So that's the difference kind of between growth and fixed mindset, is like you think if you have a growth mindset, you think things can be developed. Like most things are skills that you can work on and build up. And those who think that that talents are something that you're born with, it's like a gift that you have a more fixed mindset. And one of the things that has consistently been proven through research is that people with growth mindsets tend to achieve more than those with fixed mindsets. And that's because they worry less about looking smart and invest more energy into learning and growing those skills. People are more likely to take on a challenge and persist in working toward a goal if they believe they are likely to succeed. So, if you have a fixed mindset, you're probably telling yourself, I don't have that talent, or I don't have that ability to do that. So why even try? And that's very limiting in, you're putting a cap on your success. No. All right, just getting my dog to stop licking herself so much. Yeah, you're putting a cap on your success, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to limit your abilities. And part of that starts with, developing the right mindset. Develop the right mindset to kind of tell yourself, everything, most things are a skill that you can learn more about and practice getting better with. And that's one of the things that kind of started to change about me, especially over the last, I'd say, about year and a half. All of the decisions and actions that I've taken have led me to the life that I currently, have, the circumstances that I'm currently in. And, that's led me to this, one bedroom apartment. And, over a certain amount of time, I just was unsatisfied with that. And I had to come to terms with my own limiting beliefs about myself. And that's when I started to kind of become more all about growth and learning and finding ways to cultivate a better version of myself. And that's when the more I learned, the more I read, that's when my mindset started to shift towards believing in myself, believing in my abilities to change my circumstances. And I know it's going to take time, but if I don't take those opportunities to learn, if I don't take those chances, then nothing's going to change. And I don't want that. I want things to change for the better. I am looking to change my circumstances, to grow, and then help all you guys do the same thing. I'm going to try and be transparent with everything that I'm doing to get to the point that I want to get to, where I'm finally like living in a house that I own, and successfully running a business of my own, helping others achieve the same success that I hope to achieve myself. And it starts with right mindset. Get into the right mindset. So let's see. Practical way to practice mindset. That's pretty important, right? Like how the heck do we develop the right mindset and then practice it on a day-to-day basis? One of the things that the author mentions in the book is staying comfortable is the absolute worst way to practice mindset. So then how should we do it? Through what the author calls controllables: attitude, effort, and behavior. And I did a video on this, so go check it out if you haven't seen it. I think it has some great information in there. But we'll go a little bit into each one. And let me double check the time here. We're at 6:30. Whew, man, that time flies. That's crazy. Let me get some water. Where'd that go? Okay. So let's start with attitude. Attitude is related to your thoughts. Attitude is the best way to manage your self-talk. As you go through your day, try to be aware of whether you're your own worst critic or a motivational coach for yourself, like in your head. And I think one of the things that a lot of you will find is that we tend to be our own worst critic with whatever it is that we're dealing with. And I know I've done this when I've had to do presentations at work where it didn't turn out the way that I expected, and I would stumble on a few of the slides, and I'm just like, man, if I just would have practiced a little bit more, like why did I stumble there? And I tend to criticize myself, saying like you could definitely be better, but you're not. Like, why aren't you? And that's not the way to go about it. You want to try and be more of a motivational coach to yourself, in your own head. So if it's the critic that you find yourself, talking to yourself in a critical way in your own head, then you need to start working towards becoming that coach. And one of the ways that I recommend is like just go on to YouTube and look up like motivational coach speeches, and like start telling yourself some of the things that you hear in your own head when you're going through a tough situation. There are numerous scientific studies that come to the conclusion that positive self-talk works on improving performance and success. And you guys, you guys can do your own research, but there's plenty of studies that I found out there that you know talk about mindset, talk about positive self-talk, positive thoughts. They all have a role to play in our ability to do well in life, as opposed to being more negative. And then again, here I mentioned, remember you are your greatest asset. Start treating yourself as such. And then I put little sibs there. Effort. Let's go into effort. Effort is how much work you put into whatever it is you're trying to do. How much effort are you willing to put into developing a more positive mindset, a more growth mindset? Have you looked back on a performance, whether it be a test, a presentation, a workout, and thought, if I had just studied, practiced, or worked harder, I would have done better? And I'm sure a lot of you have been there. I've been there. If you're like most people, the answer is probably yes. So the crazy thing is, it's almost always true. If you would have worked harder, if you would have studied a little bit more, you probably could have done better. If you would have put in more work, you will perform better and achieve more success. We know that's true. Effort is both the easiest and the hardest aspect of mindset. And why is that? It's easy because we almost always know what we need to do. When it comes to procrastinating, you know what you need to get done. So why don't you just stop, put your phone down, put the TikTok or the Instagram reels down, and just get working on whatever it is that you need to do. Effort is easy because we understand what we need to do. Everyone's on that same page. Everyone understands what they need to do. Most of the time. I'll say most of the time. Sometimes you need a little additional clarity, but most of the time we know what we need to do. The reason why it's hard is because it's more work. And when our brains think more work, it tends to get ourselves to think, okay, more work equals more stress. And then we go into a fight or flight mode, stress response. And that's where things kind of get a little bit crazy. I'm going to do a whole live stream on the science behind how our minds work when it comes to procrastination, because it's a very interesting topic to me, and I could probably take the whole hour to talk about it. I might cut it short, might do 30 minutes, but it's an interesting thing to understand how our brains work. And when you understand it, you can be more in control of it. But for the simplest terms here, for what I'm trying to get on about with mindset, is that effort is easy because we know what we need to do. It's hard because it's more work, and more work usually means more stress. You practice mindset by living your values, by choosing effort. Not 100% of the time, and what I mean by this is, in the last video, if you go back to the last live stream, I talk about values and missions, and we talk about how to start, developing your core values and how you want to live your life. And when you start living your values by putting effort into living those values, that's when you start to practice more of that mindset that you want to go towards. And I say here not 100% of the time, because if you're always on, like if you're always trying to what I'm trying to say is, like, it leads to burnout, and you don't want to burn out. I'm about cultivating your best self, which is like easing into it, doing small things here day by day. The way like a gardener would cultivate their garden. You just take a little bit of time to water it, take care of it a little bit, after you've planted the seeds, and it just takes a little bit, day by day, and not being on 100% of the time, because it's a recipe for burnout. Choosing effort more often than you do now is the goal. So when it comes to whatever it is you're trying to achieve, just putting in a little bit more effort than what you're used to doing is what the goal is. Not burnout. Burnout's not the goal. And then the last thing here is behavior. So again, these are the controllables that the author talks about. These are all the ways that you can begin to practice your mindset. So we just talked about attitude and effort, and now we're getting into behavior. Behavior has to do with your actions. Mindset directly influences behavior, and the opposite is also true. Your actions will affect your mindset. Practice mindset in order to choose actions that reflect. What did I say here? Practice mindset in order to choose actions that reflect the one that you want to have. Oh, I see. So yeah, depending on what role you're setting your mindset for, will directly influence the actions that you perform when you're in that role. So for me, like say SIBS, for example, the Cultivate Your Best Self in This Life, one of the mindsets that I'm always trying to be an example of is growth, impact, and integrity. Doing the things that I say here. Like for me, it's important to understand that a lot of these things, like I actually want to implement into my own life, or have already implemented into my own life, and I want to lead by example. I don't want to share things on here that I haven't tried myself. There's a lot of people out there that they will tell you to do this or do that, and I don't want to be about telling you what to do. I want you to make your own choices. I just want to share what's been beneficial for me, the things that I've learned that have helped me attain more fulfillment in life, experience more joy, recognize the gratitude that I have, that I live every single day. Being with my wife, spending time with my son and my dog Luna. All these things are important it's important for you to make the choice to want the things that you want in life. And a lot of this is kind of foundational to understanding that if you don't do this, or I guess you have to make your own choice. But what am I trying to say here? This is tough to it's tough to organize my thoughts live. I guess this is one of the benefits of scripting, and doing the uploading to YouTube. But what I'm trying to say is you're going to make your own choice. It's something that you have to do, but understand the importance of mindset and having the right attitude, putting in the effort, the right amount of effort, and then understanding your behaviors, the actions that are the actions that you're taking, getting you closer to your missions in life. Are they an example of the mindset that you want to have? And you have to be the one to make those determinations, because ultimately it's you that are going to be responsible for your own success, your own fulfillment, your own joy. And these things are critical. We've seen time and time again by people who people more successful than myself, who've achieved great things. They practice all of this. They practice mindset. They practice having the right attitude, putting in a lot of effort, having the right taking the right actions. I'm every single day I'm trying to understand, am I making the right choices? Am I taking the right actions? And so it's a it's a continual thing. We're always trying to grow, always trying to understand, be open-minded. And let's see, what did I write here? What else did I write here? Create a routine that primes your mind to adopt that mindset. So that relates kind of to the thing I was mentioning earlier, where I was at work, I was in a toxic environment, and then I would use the ride home to kind of get myself into more like paw parent and husband mode, so that I wouldn't take out my stress on my wife, or be more impatient with my dog. And that ride home was kind of that routine that I would take those several deep breaths and get myself to understand, like, what happened at work. You can leave that there. When you go to the gym, just put in more effort to get out that additional stress, and and just have the mindset when you walk out of your car into my apartment, to be in a paw parent and husband mode. So that's kind of like a routine. And then what did I write here? For example, when I sit down at my desk to work, one of the things I like to do, that primes me to stay focused. This is when I'm like doing research or taking notes on something. If I come across an article that I really like. One of the things that I do before I even start working at my desk is that um, I take about 4 or 5 deep breaths. 4-second inhale, 4-second exhale, and then after I've done that about 4 or 5 times, I jump into whatever it is that I'm doing. My phone is usually in a different room or kind of out of reach, so that I'm not distracting myself, and I just get into focus mode and start working. And that routine helps me get into that focus mode. Practice failure. This one's tough. Success, as we all know, is a lousy teacher, but failure is a great one. The problem is it's not fun at all. So I read this book, and I'll pull it up here, by Noah Kagan, $1 Million Weekend. It's a good book. It's inspiring me to take more action. He's about like more practical and simple ways to just take action and build the business that you want within a weekend. And it's like it's funny because he says $1 Million Weekend, but it's like a certain amount of time of pre-planning and then executing everything within a weekend. But one of the things that I really like from one of the takeaways that I like from this book is that he mentioned something about failure, and this example that I'm giving is taken from his book. But next time you purchase a coffee or food item from a chain or a restaurant, politely ask if you can just receive a 20% discount when you're getting the bill, or before you get the bill. Like, let's say you're going to Starbucks and you're getting a coffee. You ask for your drink and then tell them, oh, by the way, can I get 20% off that? And they might look at you weird. They might look at you weird or awkwardly and tell you no. But that's about the worst that can happen, like, or like, I don't know. They might, if they cuss at you, like, that's gonna be extreme. But the point is, like, it gets you comfortable with being uncomfortable. It gets you comfortable with that failure. And I have yet to do this. I will report back, if I ever do a live stream, where I've actually done this, I will tell you guys. But I really want to try it myself just to see the reaction that I'd get from someone. And the point is to just get yourself comfortable with failure. Not everything's going to be a yes in life. Not everything is going to go your way. And that's a necessary experience that you have to have in order to achieve success. I forget who came up with this quote, but it was, in order to have a great idea, you have to have lots of them, because they're not all going to be great ideas. But if you have a ton of them, at least one is bound to be a great idea. And the same thing happens with successes. People love to attribute. What time is it here? 7:45. 6:45. People tend to believe that people who become successful are lucky. They attribute it to luck. And a lot of the times that's not the case. The case is, they've worked hard, they've tried a bunch of things, and they've had a lot of failures. But because they've tried so many things, one of them ended up being a wild success or a viral success, or, like the news loves to report. One of the things that comes up on my Google News feed is like, these seemingly overnight success stories where someone says like, oh, I turned my hobby into $100 million business, or I turned my my love for stickers into a 30,000 a month business. And the way that they report these successes, it can be somewhat discouraging because you don't have the full picture of the amount of work they put in, years that it took them to get there. It might have been like 5 to 10 years where they were trying different things, and they finally found the one thing that ended up benefiting them, exponentially. And that's one of the allures of, for me at least, of entrepreneurship, is that I want to be able to try a bunch of different things, and I have, and a lot of them have been failures. Like I've tried starting a blog. I've tried this YouTube channel. I'm still trying this YouTube channel. I started this the beginning of last year, and we're in the middle, like, just past the middle of this year. It's been a year and a half, and sure, I wasn't consistent with it, but I'm trying to be that now. And that's one of the things, is that I've had to experience those failures in order to, I just have to keep going. I have to keep, failing more until I find that success, whatever it is. I just have to keep going. And I believe in, belief in myself is one of the things too. And that has to do a lot with mindset. And yeah, I'll leave it at that, because I went on another tangent. But mindset role adjustments. Let me scroll back down here. Mindset role adjustments. My mindset with Cultivate Your Best Self isn't necessarily the role I should adopt 100% of the time. I mentioned this earlier. I shouldn't be about cultivating your best self. Like it's a part of me, something that I'm passionate about. Always continuous growth. Developing a deeper understanding of myself, and understanding, how I value or why I value time and money. I know who I aspire to become, but I don't always have to, push what I believe onto my wife. Like she knows I'm passionate about this stuff, but she doesn't have the same like interest in it as I do, and so I have to kind of like shift towards being the cultivate your best self person, and like this whole like brand I'm trying to cultivate. I have to shift away from that and understand that, okay, now I need to become a husband, go into husband mode. and I've gotten better at it. When I first started this whole thing, like I was so excited about all the books that I was reading and sharing things with my wife, and she loves to hear it too. She loves the drive that I have to always be growing and always be learning and consuming knowledge that will benefit me in the future, or like now and in the future. To be excellent in each one of your roles, you need to choose different mindsets for those roles and deliberately transition between them when you transition between the roles. So that's kind of like a recap of what I mentioned about transitioning from, say, your work role to your home role. That can be tough. My mom, for example, she had a tough time transitioning from dealing with the public at her job when my sister and I were kids and we were at home, and a lot of the frustration that my mom felt at work, she would take out on us at home. And, she recognized this over, several years. She recognized what she was doing, and it took her time to kind of change and realize that, she was doing this. And so she put the effort into getting herself to change, and that, it took a long time, but the fact that she recognized it and she changed it was really great for her and for us. It was tough, those years that she would just, it seemed like no matter what we did, she would just be angry all the time. And it had nothing to do with us. And my sister and I, like, at least I'm not sure if my sister did. I feel like she did, but we understood. It was something called projection. She was projecting the stresses of the experiences that she had at work on us, at home, and we knew that it had nothing to do with us. But yeah, in the moment it can affect your kids. And so you want to try and be able to transition from, or at least find a way to release that stress, but find a way to transition from that work role to your parent role, if you're a parent. What else? One way to do this is to choose a few words that you believe you need to be successful. Oh, that goes back to the quote. So one way you can transition is to repeat a phrase to yourself. And the template that I gave earlier was, to be a successful blank, I need to be more blank. And then, if you're a parent, you can be, to be a successful parent, I need to be more present or patient. And just find a phrase like that, a simple phrase, and repeat it several times, to get you to transition that role, that mindset. Your transition can really be anything. One of the examples that the author gives is that athletes will listen to a song before they go into their game or their performance, whatever it is, and that song will get them into the mode, to, like, I'm ready to perform, like I'm ready to give it my all. And so that can be a way to do it too, is to listen to a certain song. But for me, it's usually like a series of breathing techniques, and I might try. I'm probably gonna try writing down a few phrases for myself to get myself to transition into, like, say, doing these live streams, because I want to be a successful, like, motivational person, someone who can have an impact on your lives, because people need some encouragement, need some guidance, need understanding in order to get ahead in your own lives. And so yeah, I will develop a phrase for myself for the next from here moving forward, doing these live streams. But yeah, it matters that you have a transition, is what the author is trying to say. And then there's a story that I wanted to share from the book that I thought was kind of powerful. It was Mike Dowrow's story. He was rejected from the Navy SEALs 3 times until he was finally accepted. So he failed to get accepted 3 times, and he kept going. But he was finally accepted, and he recalled telling himself when he got there that there was no question that he was going to get through the training. There was no quit. And that was his mindset going into it. He had been trying so hard, and he told himself, like, quitting is not an option. And if you treat your own mindset like that with whatever it is you want to achieve, it's going to be really difficult for you to not find that success eventually. And depending on your ability, it may take you longer than you expect, but if you keep going, you're likely to find success. After asking him, the author, after asking him about his success in graduating from the training, because he eventually did, his biggest learning from the experience was that mindset was the most critical aspect of his training. So, yeah, that just goes to show you, mindset is so critically important to whatever it is you're trying to achieve in life. And I think that just about wraps up, what I had to share with you guys on mindset. So I think I might end it a few minutes early, but feel free to comment on this video after the fact. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to drop a comment and let me know what you guys think. If there's anything you'd like to see improved, I'm always open to feedback for how I present these things. If you guys want to see more visuals, I can do more visuals. This is a lot of like kind of wall of text. Bless you. That's my son sneezing. This is a big wall of text. Just my notes. Notes that I take after I read a book, and I do this for every book that I read. I take these notes. Bless you. I take these kind of notes after every book that I read because it helps me to retain their information. It helps me to kind of break down and understand the information so that I can, share it with you guys. I can share it with people that I talk to on a daily basis. Sometimes these topics come up in conversation at like dinner parties or social gatherings that I go to, or at the gym sometimes when I hang out afterwards. People might be talking about like, oh, I'm going through this really tough time at work where I had to give a presentation and it just didn't go my way, and I was talking down on myself, and these things you'd be surprised, these things come up sometimes, and being able to have this knowledge and share it with other people is always something that I'm like passionate about. So I'm happy to be sharing this with you guys. So that's it for this one. Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. All right, see you guys.